Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Welcome to all devotees. Now is Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrutyam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tatajayam Udiret Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhakti Bhavati Naishtike. Today we continue chapter 9. We try to understand shloka 24 and 25. Sadeva Deva Bhagavan Pratikshataam
स देवदेवः भगवान् प्रतीक्षताम्
कलेवरं यावत् ईतं हिनोमि अहम्
कलेवरं यावदीदं हिनोमि अहम्
प्रसन्नः स अरुणलोचन उल्लासत्
प्रसन्नहास अरुणलोचन उल्लसत्
मुखम्बुजः ध्यानपथ चतुर्भुजः
मुखाम्बुजः ध्यानपथ चतुर्भुज
सुत उवाच
सूतः उवाच
युधिष्ठिर तत् आकर्ण्य
युधिष्ठिरः तद् आकर्ण्य
शयानं शरपञ्जरे
शयानं शरपञ्जरे
अपृच्छ्त विविधान् धर्मान्
अपृच्छत् विविधान् धर्मान्
ऋषीणां च अनुशृण्वताम्
ऋषीणां च अनुशृण्वताम्
स देवदेव भगवान् प्रतीक्षताम्
स देवदेवः भगवान् प्रतीक्षताम्
कलेवरं यावत् इदं हि नोमि अहम्
कलेवरं यावद् इदं हिनोमि अहम्
प्रसन्नः सरुणलोचन उल्लसत्
प्रसन्नहास अरुण लोचन उल्लसत्
ध्यानपथ च चतुर्भुज
मुखाम्बुजः ध्यानपतः चतुर्भुजः
बोलिए सुत उवाच
सूत उवाच
युधिष्ठिर तदा आकर्ण्य
युधिष्ठिरः तद् आकर्ण्य
शयानं शरपञ्जरे
शयानं शरपञ्जरे
अपृच्छत विविधान् धर्मान्
अपृच्छत् विविधान् धर्मान्
ऋषीणां च अनुशृण्वताम्
ऋषीणां च अनुशृण्वताम्
स देवदेव भगवान् प्रतीक्षताम् कलेवरं यावतीदं हिनोमि अहम् प्रसन्नः स अरुणलोचन उल्लसत् मुख अम्बुज ध्यानपथ चतुर्भुज सुत उवाच युधिष्ठिर तथा आकर्णे शयानं शरपञ्जरे अपृच्छत विविधान् धर्मान् ऋषीणां च अनुशृण्वताम्
हरे कृष्ण सदेव भगवान् प्रतीक्षतां कलेवरं यावत् इदं हिनोमि अहम् प्रसन्नहास अरुण लोचन उल्लसत् मुख अम्बुजः ध्यानपथ चतुर्भुज सूत उवाच युधिष्ठिरः तदाकर्ण्य शयानां शरपञ्जरे अपृच्छत् विविधान् धर्मान् ऋषीणां च अनुशृण्वत्
सदैव देवो भगवान् प्रतीक्षतां कलेवरं यावदिदं हि नोम्यहं प्रसन्नहासारुणलोचनोल्लसः मुखाम्बुजो ध्यानपतश्चतुर्भुजः सुत उवाच युधिष्ठिरस्तदाकर्ण्य शयानं शरपञ्जरे अपृच्छद् विविधान् धर्मान् ऋषीणां चानुशृण्वताम्
हरे
हरे
कृष्ण. Translation and purport by the Srila Prabhupada, Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. May my Lord, who is four-handed and whose beautifully decorated lotus face, with eyes as red as the rising sun, is smiling kindly await me at that moment when I quit this material body. Sutta Goswami said, Maharaj Yudhishthir, after hearing Bhishma Dev speak in that appealing tone, asked him in the presence of all the great rishis about the essential principles of various religious duties. Purport by the Srila Prabhupada, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Bhishma Dev knew well that Lord Krishna is the original Narayan. He worshipable deity was a four-handed Narayan, but he knew that four-handed Narayan is a plenary expansion of Lord Krishna. Indirectly, he desired Lord Sri Krishna to manifest himself in his four-handed feature of Narayan. A Vaishnava is always humble in his behavior. Although it was 10% certain that Vishnudeva was approaching Vaikuntha just after leaving his material body, still as a humble Vaishnava, he desired to see the beautiful face of the Lord. For after quitting the present body, he might not be in a position to see the Lord anymore. A Vaishnava is not puffed up, although the Lord guarantees his pure devotee entrance into his abode. Here, Vishwadev says, as long as I do not quit this body, this means that the great general would quit the body by his own will. He was not being forced by the laws of nature. He was so powerful that he could stay in his body as long as he desired. He got this benediction from his father. He desired that the Lord stay before him in his four-handed Narayan feature so that he might concentrate upon him and thus be entranced in that meditation. Then his mind might be sanctified with thinking of the Lord. Thus he did not mind wherever he might go. A pure devotee is never very anxious to go back to the kingdom of God. He entirely depends on the good will of the Lord. He is equally satisfied even if the Lord desires him to go to hell. The only desire that a pure devotee entertains is that he may always be in rapt attention with thinking of the lotus feet of the Lord. Regardless, Vishmadeva wanted this much only, that his mind be absorbed in thinking of the Lord and that he pass away thus. That is the highest ambition of a pure devotee. Vishmadeva, speaking in that appealing tone, convinced Maharaj Yudhishthir that he was very soon passing away, and Maharaj Yudhishthir was inspired by Lord Sri Krishna to ask him of the principles of religion. Lord Sri Krishna inspired Maharaj Yudhishthir to ask Bhishmadeva in the presence of many great sages, indicating thereby that the Lord's duty, like Bhishmadeva, although apparently living as a worldly man, is far superior to many great sages, even Vasudeva. Another point is that Vishwadev at that time was not only lying on a deathbed of arrow, but was greatly aggrieved because of that state. One should not have asked him any question at that time. But Lord Sri Krishna wanted to prove that his pure devotees are always sound in body and mind by dint of spiritual enlightenment, and thus in any circumstances, a devotee of the Lord is in perfect order to speak of the right way of life. Yudhishthir also preferred to solve his problematic questions by asking Bhishmadeva rather than ask anyone else present there who was seemingly more learned than Bhishmadeva. This is all due to the arrangement of the great will of carrier Lord Sri Krishna, who establishes the glories of his devotee. The father likes to see the son become more famous than himself. The Lord declares very emphatically that worship of his devotee is more valuable than the worship of the Lord himself. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Ena Tasmai Sri Gurave Nama Sri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sthapitam Ena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vande Ham Sri Guru Sri Yuttapada Kamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavancha Sri Rupam Sagra Jatam Sagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Deva Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Sri Vishakhanvitancha Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणे वाञ्छा कल्पतरुवे च कृपा सिन्धुवे एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Today we continuing chapter 9 um, of Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto first. We try to understand shloka number 24 and 25. Here they told uh, they told about what the Bhishma Deva told to Yudhishthir, and they told Yudhishthir to accept the position of the king and take care of the citizens of his kingdom as uh, as a child and in the guidance of the Sri Krishna. How they giving the instructions to Yudhishthira, Prabhuji will tell you in detail. Next.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. To the pious day of today, the festival of lights, Deepavali, while it is being celebrated everywhere, and we embark on the journey to go to the birthplace of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and have association of Guru Maharaj, and then recharge our batteries for one more year of spiritual enlistment. And then today we come across this shloka. And as I have always been saying, the plans of Lord, they are always inconsistent, which Vishwadev started very soon, as soon as he saw Yudhishthir Maharaj. So Yudhishthir Maharaj had not asked any question till now. If you see the shlokas till now. What had happened is, he, along with all his brothers, all the rishis, all the dev-rishis, all the devatas, all the sages, and especially Krishna as well, they had all arrived there. And Bhishmadev, because of his tapah, he had got the benediction that he can leave the body when he wants. So he was there. And though he was then on the bed of arrows, where it is mentioned in the Shastras that there was not a single space for any small pointed needle also to touch his body in such a congested bed of arrows he was lying still. So just look at the kind of discomfort he would be. And still, Krishna, by his unfathomable plan, arranged for everyone to come. Because he knew, as we saw in the class yesterday, in the shloka yesterday, that Bhishma Dev was one of his most devoted devotees who had surrendered completely. And so Krishna once more wanted to create an example of what an ideal devotee is like. And so all these discussions are happening. Vishwadev, even without being asked anything, he knew that Yudhishthir Maharaj was having some issues. He was not ready. He would never be ready because he would always blame himself. He had seen them from his childhood. And so he thought that it is his responsibility now to guide Yudhishthir. Because it was Krishna's plan that the kingdom be ruled by Yudhishthir Maharaj by his own will. And unless and until his doubts would have been resolved, the ultimate plan of Krishna would not have succeeded. See, this is something which we need to understand. Krishna, he can do anything because finally he is Anadiradir Govind and he is Param Ishvara, the controller, the supreme most controller, Param Ishvara. So he could do anything, but then he always ensures that it is his devotees who get the blessing, and it is the devotees who get the acclaim for guiding. on the principles of religion. Krishna is always with each one of us as Paramatma. So it is very easy for him, if he wants, that he can just transfer the knowledge as a Paramatma to that. So why is it that this is not done? Was one of the questions which was raised when discussions were happening on this shloka with Prabhuji. And then the answer was Krishna and his ways, they are known only to Krishna. But what Krishna desires is, if there are his devotees, he wants the devotees to be acknowledged that. And the science of self-realization, that can always be obtained best when it is received in an appropriate Guru Shishya Parampara. That is what Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. Evam Parampara Prapta. So, when he would have told Yudhishthir why he is not at fault, he has arranged it in such a way that it is Bhishma Dev who is feeling it. Yudhishthir, he may have said, oh, he is direct Krishna, so let me accept it as his order. But then Krishna does not want you to accept anything as order, but to accept it because it is the righteous thing to do. That is very great. And so, when the knowledge would have been given to him through Bhishma Dev, who was most revered in the family, who was the protector of the family, who was highly respected by all the Pandavas, it would have been very easy for Yudhishthira Maharaj to accept this as a knowledge and then implement. And this is the reason why we see that it is Bhishma Dev who is trying to explain it. Look at what Bhishma Dev is saying towards the end of his introduction. He is actually giving the description of the Chaturbhuj Nara. So many times this question comes, Prabhuji, what is the original form of Krishna? Because when he showed his Virat proof, the universal form was completely different. And even Arjuna, who was his a friend, he got very scared. He became afraid. And then he asked, please don't show me this form. Please come back to the other. And then what form he showed was the Chaturbhuj Narayan form too. Because that is the form in which Krishna exists in the Vaikuntha. But that is not the original. The original form, the Shastra says, is the Dvibhuj Rupi Govinda Swarup. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram. But here Krishna was available as it is, the original form. But then there were doubts in many people's mind. Definitely not Pandavas, but Bhishma wanted to remove even if there was a slightest of the tinge of the doubt in anyone. And so his closing statement here is that, may my Lord. So he's talking about his Krishna. And then he's explaining that he is four-handed, who has a beautifully decorated lotus phrase, whose eyes are red as the rising sun, who's always smiling. And then he makes known his desire that he should be there when he quits his material. So what we need to understand from this sloka is a couple of practical aspects. One, know that Krishna is the original supreme personality of God. And this is being accepted by everyone. As Arjuna said even in Bhagavad Gita, Devala Adihi Rushihi, Narada Devala. So he gives the description of how all the great personalities except Krishna as the supreme personality of Godhead. And Bhishma Dev is now giving an impetus to that same inference. So there can be no one else but Krishna. And then the description which we are getting about Krishna is for us so that we meditate on that description. A student who is not studying throughout the year and he goes for the exam, definitely is not going to be able to give the exam. Similarly, we are awaiting our most important final exam of our life. The exam which will determine whether we continue in this cycle of repeated birth, old age, disease, and death, or we become liberated and go back home, back to God. And that final exam is very known to all of students. When they are giving exams, they don't know what questions will come in the exam. Like we are doing Bhakti Shastri, Bhakti Vaibhav. So in Bhakti Vaibhav, they say that okay, you will have open book assessment and you will have closed book assessment. Closed book assessment full of first feelings. Open book assessment, we try to read so much and give that. But even in closed book assessment, we are told what questions are likely to come 75, 80% questions. So we prepare them. But balance, it's a mirror. It's something which can be anything and we are worried. Similar happens with Hindu. But Krishna is so merciful. He has given us the question paper of the final exam. And he has also given us the answer to that question paper. And what is the answer? The answer is that we should remember him at the last. Antakale cha mamev smaran muktva kalevaram. This is what Shri Krishna has said. If you really want to get freed from this repeated cycles of birth, old age, disease, and death, then what you need to do is Antakale, that at the last moment, Mam eva smaranaha. You have to remember me only ever. He's stressing it. Sanskrit, the Deva Bhasha, Deva Vani. You have to understand it. At some places when it is very, very stressful, very, very important, he has used the word eva. Also, that has to be done. So if you have to do this exam and this is the answer, then we need to be ready for it. Because we remember only what we have studied. Like the other day, I was talking to you about our say, medical classes. The very first day, we go and do the dissection of the the dead bodies, anatomy. Many of you may have seen the before coming to Krishna consciousness movies like say Munna by MBBS. The students go in the dissection hall, they see the dead bodies being cut, and then down. It is a fact. But outside the dissection hall, there is one statement of an anatomist who says, the eyes do not see what the mind does not. So, if you want to see something, the mind has to know that. This is a universal principle which Krishna also stresses, which Rupa Goswami ji has also mentioned in Bhakti Rasamrita. And that is the reason why in ABCDE, which Radhesham Prabhuji tells us to follow for improvement in our sadhana, the B is books, Shastra, study of the Shastra. So when we talk about three S's, that is sadhana, the second is seva, and the third is svadhyay. Svadhyay again means that you have to read the scriptures. Why? Because when we read the scriptures, we know what it is, and then we become eager enough to understand. There is a possibility that we'll know it. And hence it is important that we prepare throughout our life. So this is what comes in this shloka, the description of Krishna. But this Chaturbhuj Narayan form, this is something which we'll be seeing in Vaikuntha. See, Bhishma Dev, it was assured that he would be going to Vaikuntha. But still, he wanted to ensure that he is able to see the beautiful face of the Lord after quitting his presence. He was a real devotee. So he was not puffed up. Because Krishna says, if you are my devotee, rest assured, you are coming back to me. He tells Arjuna, declare it to the world, my devotee will not have a fall down. But then he is also creating a situation where a pure devotee who is very anxious to go back to the kingdom of God is entirely dependent on the goodwill of the Lord. And so, even if the God sends us to say, hey, the devotee is not angry, it just says, oh, it is God's will. Let me also spread Krishna consciousness here. Maybe my bhakti was not 100% successful. So I'll continue my devotional service. So this is the highest ambition of a pure devotee. that he has to pass the exam, that Antakale, he has to remember it. And then Vishwadev stops speaking, where he has made an appeal to Krishna that, oh Krishna, please be in front of. Now the question comes that Krishna was there when Vishwadev left the body. So it is not obvious he would pray and Krishna would be there, so he would see Krishna, he will remember Krishna, he will quit body and he will go back and back to Godhead. What about us, Prabhuji? Where is Krishna now? But Krishna is there with us even today. In multiple forms. And very first form is the Krishna Nama. Krishna Nama, Krishna Avatar. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram. Krishna is there with us even today in the form of his name. So we have to keep on chanting, 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 chanting. And we realize the presence of him. Krishna is there in the form of deities. Vigraha Swarupa Krishna Avatara. So he has taken the avatar in the form of a Vigraha so that when we are not really become devotees, we can exchange with you. We can have loving exchanges of service with you. And that is why when you say D, D is for diet as well as DT seva. And E is for engagement. Engage yourself always in the service of you. Guru Krishna nahi hai. Krishna is there in the form of a Guru. The Guru represents Krishna. He guides us. And Krishna actually is also there as Chaitya Guru in the form of a Paramatma with us. We just have to turn to him, pray to him, and then he will guide. So Krishna is. So we can always look at Krishna. And just like Yudhishthir Maharaj was convinced, was inspired by Lord Krishna, you have to always follow the principles of religion. And that is exactly what Yudhishthir Maharaj is now doing. He wanted to understand more about the religion, principles of religion, and that is why he asked them to Bhishmadev in the presence of so many great teachers. Because he knew that it is Bhishmadev who can guide. One may feel that, oh, Bhishmadev is in so much of pain, it is not appropriate to ask him. It is better to give him comfort. But then Krishna wanted to prove that a pure devotee is always sound in body and mind because they're spiritually healthy. So whatever be the circumstances, a devotee of the Lord is always ready and eager to speak about the right way of life. And that is what like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has told us. Jare dekha tani kaha Krishna upadesh. So whatever be the situation, a devotee is always talk about Krishna. Because Krishna is the right way of. And Shri Krishna, who is having the Sudarshan Chakra, so when Prabhupada is talking about the arrangement of the great wheel carrier, Lord Shri Krishna, it is reflecting the two wheels. One is the Sudarshan Chakra, and second is the episode when Bhishmadev had provoked Krishna to carry the wheel and stop him from attacking Arjuna further. So see the way Krishna exchanges loving. The father always likes to son to become more famous than himself. So similarly, Lord declares very emphatically that worship of his devotee is more valuable than the worship of the Lord. Such is our Parampita, Parameshwar, Lord Sri Krishna. So let us remember him and continue praying to him and keep on meeting every day as usual. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much.